Hello, and welcome to the Mindset Bloomcast with Mallory. I am your host, Mallory McGary. I am the founder and CEO of Beautifully Blooming. You can find me at beautifullyblooming.com or email me at mallory@beautifullyblooming.com. You are listening to the WGSN-DB Going Solo Network Radio, TV, and podcast, the #1 internet talk network. Welcome. Today, I feel like it's been a really long time due to kids being sick, me being sick, getting into the spring weather, that today's episode is going from mom to boss. And I saw on Instagram, I believe, the other day of something that was really sparked my attention into what this looked like, into what motherhood and parenting actually looked like, along with running a business at the same time. And the quote on there, I'm paraphrasing, I can't remember what it is. I haven't seen it for a while, but it is sorry, stretching that the quote, as always. Um, it said that motherhood is not something that is just doing laundry or doing dishes or just keeping the things in your life running, keeping your household running. It is literally just everything in your life. And that is something I think somewhere along the line that we as moms have kind of categorized our lives a little bit into saying these are things, mom things, and these are business things, or these are work things, or these are other life things. And how can they not be both? Because they can. In that motherhood isn't necessarily only doing those daily tasks. In what I call feeling like a June cleaver, maybe a little bit in that it is everything that spans from wake up to nighttime, the bedtime, is that it's just life. Motherhood is just life. And being a boss is part of that life. So marrying the two in my mind was something that I have been doing for my whole entire business journey, but not necessarily realizing or consciously realizing that those two things have been married in my life the whole time. That I have a business that fits into my life, that is not strictly me fitting my life into my business. It is business that fits into my life. I don't I am not a part of the 5 a.m. club. Do I see some benefits of being in the part of the 5 a.m. club? Absolutely. But I'm not a part of that 5 a.m. club in making my business work. My business is not successful because I wake up at 5 a.m. My business is successful because of the time that I put into my business and put into creating content and put into just being a part of my real life. It is creating things for my clients. It's creating different mechanisms for me to have a business that actually fits into my life and the things that I feel like are important for me in my life, my priorities. That is how I have married the two in my space. And I want you to be able to marry the two in your space as well, and not have those boxes, I put those in air quotes, of motherhood versus a working life, because your identity is not solely based on your compartment. It is all encompassing. Your identity is married to the the motherhood box, and also to the working box or the career box. And the two of them can coexist happily in what that looks like. And so I don't want it to be something that you're afraid to do, that, oh no, trying to marry the two is going to be a problem, because it's not a problem. It's actually really beneficial into what that looks like in your space for whatever it is that you want to achieve in your life. That even being a stay-at-home mom is a way of marrying the two. You still have your own individuality. Maybe you're not you're not working, but you have that other side of you that is the things you like to do, the friends you hang out with, all of those things, but it's married all together. So today we're going to go through the top 3 tips that I have on marrying your motherhood box with your boss box or your CEO box, whatever you want to call that box, and how your life can be better built on top of what that looks like going together. So as always, I'm going to start with the story of that. When my journey started, I was pregnant with my son, and I have built my business based on raising with toddlers. I built my business being pregnant, both pregnancies, both littles to toddlers. I've built this business while raising these 2 humans and knowing that, okay, I'm not going to be able to really categorize what that looks like and have exactly always consistent set business hours or set mom hours, that they kind of have to ebb and flow a little bit. So number 1, my tip that I have found in creating this business and creating the life that I want to live is embracing the chaos and knowing that it is a little bit chaotic. Some days run really, really smooth. And as moms, those are major wins for the days that we actually have those and moving forward and knowing that, okay, it's awesome. We've made it this far. And today we only maybe had minor meltdowns, or I was able to get to places on time, even though my kids were still being kids, right? My toddlers love to help put on shoes, which seems to take a massive amount of time in getting them ready. So, but still being able to make it somewhere on time. Like, those are the amazing days. So smooth. Pat ourselves on the back. And then we have days that are just not quite there. They are chaotic, really chaotic. Things don't seem to fall in place as lovely as they have before. Things don't seem to, things just seem to take a lot longer than they normally would. Things go from good to bad to up to down. Like, everything feels like it has gone wrong. By the time you sit down at the end of the day, you are thinking, oh man, I have just failed as a mom. I've maybe failed as a business owner. I've failed as an employee. I have just failed in every arena of my life because nothing fell into place. And you're normal. Number 1, know that you're normal. But knowing that when you create a business and you have this business plan, or you have the ability to be flexible in working within what I call your zone of genius, which is tip number 2, and we're going to come back to that. But staying in that space that will allow you to have flexibility and freedom in what you're looking for, but at the same time, you are creating a space and marrying motherhood and being a CEO, being that boss, because you have that flexibility in your time. Some days you're going to get maybe 20 minutes of work because you can, and that's how life goes, and it's great. So tip number 1 is embracing the chaos, knowing how to handle it, and know that you're normal. Don't think that the Instagram scroll is awesome and effective. It's great to see what people are doing, but it also is a self-esteem demolisher at times, especially on days when you feel like you have had rough goes, that you're seeing all of these other moms, other women doing these things or reaching these goals that you feel are completely impossible, that you may feel like there's no way I can do that sort of thing. They have the perfect life or whatever, right? We've all fallen down that rabbit hole and trap. But knowing that you're normal, because I'm pretty sure, as everyone has said, as most people know, that it's the highlight reel. You're only seeing the highlights. You're not seeing the tantrum that their kids were throwing 15 minutes before the picture was taken. You're not seeing the mess, the actual real mess of what their house looks like. You're seeing like the clean counter, right? You're not seeing the things that everybody's living in. And that person could have had a terrible day just like you did, but it's not seeing that. So the comparison of I'm a bad mom or I'm a bad this because I'm trying to do all these things is really heavy. And at times when starting a business or being a working mom can sometimes be a little bit more taxing in that where you're trying to be all the things that mom is, right? Do laundry, keep your house clean, feeding kids, feeding family, being creating activities, creating all of these things for your family to participate in, but also really trying to go after your dreams, trying to go after those things that are important to you, creating that life that you want, still trying to be the person that you have dreamt of being. And that balance is not always the same. So embracing that chaos of knowing life is not always going to feel balanced. You can work toward finding a better balance, but at times one area of your life is going to be 70% while the other area is 30. And that's not bad. The same as most relationships, I know the best advice I was given is that some days you're pulling 20% and the other person is pulling 80. Some days you're pulling 15% and the other person is pulling the other amount. Some days you're pulling the full 100, and that's okay. And that's how life works. That's how relationships work, and business and motherhood are kind of the same in that space. It's a relationship in creating what the two of those look like together. So number one tip, embracing the chaos, allowing yourself to flourish within that. Now, tip number two, we touched on for a second, but I really want to focus on this too, is working in your zone of genius. So there are times in your day that you are way more productive at other things than you are at another time in the day. So for me, I am really productive at content creation and more like my email list, the creative part of my business in the morning between the hours of 11 and 2 p.m. Those are my hours that I really get a lot done. My brain is going. I've had enough time to kind of get my body moving. Kids kind of settle into my day and my routine. Then after about 2:30, my brain is kind of capped out, tired, put on a short leash, whatever you want to call it. But those are the things after that, those are the things that aren't necessarily going to move the needle a huge jump in my business or in my day-to-day. It's the things of responding to emails or being a guest on a podcast, writing different blog posts. After I've saved all that content, I can pull it out, piece it out, whatever those little things that look like to me. I can take the time to do social media. After that, those are the times that I can be more flexible in being with my kids in what they need, creating activities, because I don't necessarily need all of my brain power to make my business run at that point, because I've already worked in that time zone where I know I really can get a lot of things done when my brain is working at max capacity in creating the things that I want to do and will help move that needle. Those are the times that I get the non-negotiables on my to-do list, which I know we have talked about on this show quite frequently, is that non-negotiable on my to-do list. I can get those done within that productive time zone of my zone of genius. And finding your own zone of genius, whatever that is. Some people it is at night. I have friends of mine who do all of their non-negotiables at night because that is when their brain is like ready and willing to fire. Some people I know do early morning just because that's when their brain is ready to go. Finding that time, whatever it works for you, utilize that to your advantage. Make that be the thing that you are working for, those moments of moving the needle, in your business, in your life, whatever that looks like, what moving the needle looks like to you, you're moving it forward within that productive time zone and really taking advantage of that, trying to not schedule meetings if they don't need to be there. If you don't need to schedule phone calls, client calls, whatever that looks like within that time zone, that you're going to get more things done regardless of what it looks like. So setting that zone of genius in your life to get those things done that are going to move the needle a little bit farther in going a little bit farther in your life. And if you don't know what moving the needle is, it's just taking that one extra step into moving forward into your life. So it's just kind of, it's a business term of taking one step towards your goal. So moving the needle, taking that step toward whatever goal that it is that you have set. So tip number one, embracing the chaos. Tip number two is working in your zone of genius. And tip number three, you're going to have to wait until we come back from commercial, but it is a great tip, a great ender. Please stick around. You are listening to the Mindset Bloomcast with Mallory. I am your host, Mallory McGary. I'm the founder and CEO of Beautifully Blooming. You can email me at mallory@beautifullyblooming.com or reach out at beautifullyblooming.com. You are listening to the WGSN-DB Going Solo Network, radio, TV, and podcast, the number one internet talk network. And we'll be right back. Welcome back to the Mindset Bloomcast with Mallory. I am your host, Mallory McGary. I am the founder and CEO of Beautifully Blooming. You can find me at beautifullyblooming.com or email me at mallory@beautifullyblooming.com. You are at the point of tip number three for our amazing going from mom to boss episode today. Tip number one was embracing the chaos. Tip number two was working in your zone of genius. And tip number three, it's like 3 and 3.5, but they go hand in hand, is giving yourself grace and also taking the time for yourself. So three is giving yourself grace. Give yourself the grace that you need to know that changes, if you're starting to implement them right now, they don't happen overnight, and that is fine. It's, again, moving that needle. Sometimes you will find that you're moving that needle 5 steps forward only to take 10 steps backwards. And I have been through this back and forth so many times that I don't get discouraged by it. That knowing that change and adapting myself and my kids and my business to a brand new something that's entering my space is going to take a little bit of time. That it took some time to work around working in my zone of genius, creating that space that it looks like, okay, this is great for my zone of genius. And allowing kids to be in that space and working with them in that, allowing the things in my house that I may have felt like, oh, I should be doing laundry at this point. No, allowing them to kind of set to the side while I went through it, and creating all of those things that are changing in my space to make it so that I'm more successful, but I'm also still living in that present moment that I want to be, that present mom I want to be, that just living in the moment for the type of life that I want to live. So give yourself grace. Not everything is going to always happen amazingly. And if it does, congratulations. And if it was an easy change for you, excellent. But if it takes a little bit of time, give yourself the grace you need. Give yourself that, celebrate those victories that you need when of the small, hey, we did it today. We did it tomorrow. We did it 2 days in a row. We did it 5 days in a row. Celebrate those small victories. And when that happens, because it'll give you the opportunity and ability to stick with it longer, to say, okay, this is not as hard as it seems. It's not as daunting of a task as it seems going forward. That I can do it within a couple of days, a couple of weeks, that tomorrow might not be as great, but today I did it. Giving yourself that extra motivation that you're reaching those goals that you're going for. And then 3.5, which goes together with 3, but is a really important thing that I really want to touch on and keep at the top of every mom's mind, is that take the time for you. That I cannot stress this enough. It's been on a lot of my episodes, that taking that time for you, whatever it may be 20 minutes just reading. It might be a walk outside now that it's spring. It might be a little bit warmer where you're at. It's not really warm where I'm at yet, but finding what that looks like to you and allowing that to be the motivator, because it will spark creativity. It will spark just new passions. It will reignite that motivation, that determination, that drive that you've been looking for your business, for your life, for your family. It reiterates some of your goals, will strengthen your resolve in reaching some of your goals, maybe creating the ability to rewrite some of your goals, which is just fine as well. You can rewrite anything. Nothing that is set in stone from where you're at. It allows you to be a better mom. You're going to have a little bit more patience. You're pouring out the positive overflow into your family and what that looks like. Give yourself the time to be just you, whatever that looks like, however that looks like. Feed that spirit, feed that fire, feed all of the things that make you you, and allow you to start mirroring the world of motherhood and becoming a mom. Because once that happens, your life is going to start to change as well. You're going to see a different side of yourself on the other side of it as you're starting to marry the two together, that you don't have to fit into this box or this box, that your ability to fit into the mold you want and create that life that you want by marrying all of the different parts of what make you you is going to create, if you do have a business, it's going to create better time attraction, better ability to really be relatable to those people around you. So I challenge you this week to really delve into yourself, really start marrying those two, finding a way that you can embrace the chaos, finding your energy to work, finding that grace that you need to make some changes, implement some different systems in your life. And 3.5, take that time for yourself. I strongly challenge you to take 20 minutes for the next week by yourself, where whatever that looks like, however that feels good to you and authentic to you. Live in that moment, really soak it up so you can pour out the positive overflow to those around you. Those are my first 3.5 steps to going from mom to boss in all areas of your life. I have a free ebook. The link is in the show notes, that you can hop on and get, that will help you start that journey of going from mom to boss. And also you can take my free quiz of what kind of mompreneur are you, your archetype. You'll figure that out and take those steps to moving toward that dream life. Thank you so much for listening to the Mindset Bloomcast with Mallory. I am your host, Mallory McGary. I am the founder and CEO of Beautifully Blooming. You can find me at beautifullyblooming.com or email me at mallory@beautifullyblooming.com. You are listening to the WGSN-DB Going Solo Network Radio, TV, and podcast, the #1 internet talk network. And we will see you soon.